We'll let people trickle in, but we're going to be spending the next half hour with my friend Duke Riley. I'm going to just put this in my comments right now, but I hope everyone is doing well and having, lunch, getting ready for the rest of the afternoon. And we're going to talk to an artist that I think has a really interesting practice and is also someone who has recently recovered from COVID-19. First of all, I'm really happy he's doing better and he's recovered. And he'll tell us a little bit more about what that was like for him. So Duke, if you're on, send a request. And if you're not on yet, we'll wait for you. Hey, Duke, what's up? Karen, it is an all-day affair. And I just want to say thank you so much to everyone for your nice comments. What's up, Duke?
Hey, what's going on? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Give a thumbs up if everyone can hear Duke. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. So nice to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
So I'm going to turn your volume up on my end a little bit. But yeah, everyone, okay. Susan Laney says she can hear you. Very cool. Dude, just don't make me throw up.
Right.
Yeah, you're sideways.
I thought, okay, that's better. Yeah, I'll keep it like I'm doing this stuff, you know?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Nice mustache. Haven't seen that. Actually, you were starting to grow it out last time I saw you.
Yeah, I decided to go full on creepy guy, you know? Yeah.
You're really growing into it, man. Nice job. So here's my cup of iced coffee to you. What do you have?
I'm kind of drinking a warm coffee from this morning that I microwaved, and then I have a lemonade because I think I already had a couple too many cups, and it's
yeah.
So I don't get
well, dude, it's so good to see you. I haven't seen you in about a month plus. And for those who are joining just now, this is Duke Riley. He's an artist based in New York. And we've actually known each other a really long time. I think probably about 15 years when you did
maybe 17, I think.
Maybe 17. I don't know.
Yeah, a while. Yeah.
It's been a while. And I met Duke through our really good friend, Mac Primo, who we're going to have a talk with in a few weeks. And Mac did this project with Duke, the artist Oliver Jeffers, and the artist Rory Jeffers. And they did the scrapbook that they passed around by FedEx, I think, and it was called Book. I did the PR for it and have become friends and stayed friends with all of these guys ever since. You know what I was thinking, actually? That Book is something that should be done again because it's something that it's a COVID-19 type of project.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and you should. Mac has been sort of. We started one a few years ago, but I think that it was one of those things where our heads were all in different spaces at the time, and we did a follow-up one, and then it never got finished.
Yeah.
And I feel like and Mac's really always been wanting to kind of get it started again, and maybe you're right. Maybe now's a good time.
Yeah, and someone just asked, where can we see Book? I will find out, and I'll post about it in my stories, but just Google it. It's Book with Oliver Jeffers, Duke Riley, Mac Primo, Rory Jeffers, and it was exhibited in a few different places.
Yeah.
And LMCC took it to New York City, and that's when I worked on it with these guys.
Yeah.
In any case,
it was a huge turning point, I think, definitely for both me and Oliver, and I think for all of us, Mac and stuff.
Yeah.
That project, as far as
and these guys are all super.
Whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was a very touching project. So I wanted to first tell people about, or have you tell people about your recovery from COVID-19. I saw you in early March, and then you got sick pretty much right after that, right?
You were the last person I saw before I got sick.
Oh, shit. I hope I wasn't your...
I remember, and I was worried about you because you were the last person I was in contact with. We went...
Are you serious?
by Smoked Fish that day.
Yeah, we went to Acme Smoked Fish and had the best smoked fish. You know what I remember?
And I was like, I felt a little tired before that meeting and the day before, and then I went home, and I don't think I got out of bed after that for about almost a month. Yeah.
Wow. And did you know immediately that you probably had it?
There's a lot of this thing where when you first get it, you're like, it's probably just the flu, or because you just, at least back then, I think it was different because there wasn't that many cases in the city at that point. It was really, that was really before the quarantine or anything had started.
Yeah.
So I was like, when I considered that, I was like, I must be being a hypochondriac. I'm probably just run down and this, that, and the other thing, But I actually had gone to the doctor a couple. I think the day before I saw you, or 2 days before I saw you. I think it was a Wednesday when I saw you.
No, it was a Friday. I saw you on Friday.
That's right. They do the discount on Friday. Yeah. And
he's talking about Acme Smoked Fish, not the testing on the doctor.
Yeah. When they have the thing on the Acme Fish deal on Friday. So then I'd gone back to the doctor because I had Lyme's disease in August, and I was so beat. I was like, maybe I haven't gotten rid of this Lyme's. Maybe it's chronic or something because I was so tired. And that was Monday, and then that Friday after I saw you, that was it. I was down. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so we're all so glad you're feeling better and you're here able to talk to us. And so what did you have to go to the ER?
I went right in the worst of it. I went to the ER one day because I was really struggling to breathe, and
wow.
It was actually so bad that when I tried to call an ambulance, they couldn't understand what I was saying on the phone. That partially could have been my accent, but it's like they couldn't understand what I was saying. I was like struggling to get the words out because I couldn't breathe, and that was the only part where I was like, honestly, the whole thing's a little scary, and it's like at that part I was actually pretty terrified though because I couldn't tell them that I was. What my address was, and that I.
So how did they find you?
What's that?
How did they find you?
They eventually, I was just trying to calm down and say the address.
Yeah.
But that was the really the worst part of it. And then I was only in there for the day. And they gave me some oxygen and stuff like that, and they still didn't have any tests at that time, so they kind of do a process of elimination and x-ray your lungs and stuff like that, and then basically tell you have corona, and then eventually they say they don't have they let you go because the place was like back then was already packed.
Which hospital did you go to?
It was the one in Park Slope, the Methodist Presbyterian one up there.
Yeah, that's one of the COVID ones. So then you just recovered from home for weeks.
Yeah. I'd say it was probably like 3 weeks total that I didn't get out of bed, and then after that, a week of just not really feeling like I wanted to leave the house at all. And obviously, I still felt like I was probably contagious and whatnot too. And then eventually after that, then I headed upstate and still kind of remained isolated from my friends and whatnot. Then in where I'm at now for about another week or so, and now kind of
yeah. Well, we are also relieved that you're okay and mostly recovered. And I see like so many hearts going up. I don't know. I'm kind of new to IG talks or whatever live, but hit up all the hearts, guys, because this is a really serious thing. And I was just having a chat 3 hours ago with Phil Tonari in Beijing, who runs the UCCA museum there, and it was just shocking. He was saying he knew no one who had been affected by it. Yeah. And I think for Americans, we were our leadership was so nonchalant about it, right? So we weren't really taking it very seriously. And we thought that the epidemic was just a Chinese thing. Meanwhile, it's really hitting home for me and obviously for you, big time.
Yeah.
Well, so, your practice is varied, right? You we can see your drawings behind you. You're an amazing artist in all sorts of different media. And for those who might not know your practice super well, you've done public artworks, you have done performative things. So many of them are memorable. But as you kind of go into life during COVID and after, do you feel that there's a shift at all in your paradigm or the way you're thinking about how you're going to approach art?
I think that generally my process and my reaction to things is very slow. Like I tend to spend a long time processing things and whatnot. Before this happened, I was sort of already in this kind of state of self-quarantine. I started this this drawing that's actually behind me that I've been working on for. I started this drawing back in November that is kind of a personal and history as well as just the American history of the Gowanus Canal. And I decided back in January that I was going to pretty much have to lock myself in a room to kind of, I did all these interviews of people, and then I really didn't see anyone for the entire month of January and February. I was just working on this drawing 7 days a week, 15 hours a day. And then I kind of went out and went to the art fairs and did all that stuff and had a few meetings and things. And then somewhere at that point I got sick. So I've kind of already been in 2 months of quarantine beforehand.
Right.
I think that, as far as one thing that as I'm kind of reaching the end of this drawing, I think I'm going to really try to use the time to, there's some things that I've just been procrastinating for years, kind of learning how to use some drawing apps on a computer, just to not to really start changing working that way, but just to sort of thinking about how I could be working, planning out colors and things like that before I actually go and buy the paint and stuff like that, and just different things like that. There's some stuff like that I think will.
So you're able to take this time. You're able to take this time and kind of do things that you've been meaning to do, but yeah.
It hasn't really happened yet because I've honestly, in a lot of ways, after spending a month, really out of commission, there's there's all this catching up to do of different work stuff, things like that. Yeah. So I haven't really got to that point where a lot of other people are, where they're oh, now I have this free time to explore this new stuff. I'm sort of still, but I'm kind of looking forward to that to some degree. And I guess I've been reading a lot of. I'm up, like I said, I'm upstate, and my wind is not totally back. My lungs don't feel totally back, so I'm trying to take some hikes and just get out and walk a little bit every day. And I sort of before this all went down, I ordered all these books on foraging. So I've been kind of going around the woods and digging up ramps and fiddleheads and things like that. Reading all
Duke Riley, farmer.
What's that?
The Duke Riley farmer. That's
I'm just kind of already going full apocalyptic, I guess. Getting ready for full survival mode.
We have you on film for when.
What's that?
I said we have evidence now of you going full survival mode. With the stash and everything. Well, it was interesting because Mac, our old friend, had made a comment on one of the earlier chats about how right now for him it's the conceptual abyss that he's really fighting. It's and I think by what he means is just there's so much to process, and so to make art right now is kind of complicated and hard for some artists. I think some are finding the solace really nice for them, but others are, dealing with a lot of other things.
Yeah.
Do you have?
I think for me, the way I make art, a lot of it is sort of often I tend to, when I'm go visit a city or to do a project somewhere, usually it really starts with looking at the history of a place and thinking
Yes.
about how that relates to, contemporary social scenarios and whatnot. And I think that I've definitely been spending a lot of time just reading about past pandemics and reading about the Spanish flu and just kind of I think that people also need to. I mean, this is a terrible and tragic situation, but it's also something that's happened over and over again throughout history, and is
right.
in some ways is kind of a very natural occurrence.
I mean, it's true, in the span of Earth, right? This has happened before, but having little kids, I'm struggling to explain what is happening and how this can affect our lives, because I really don't know. We take it day by day. That's partly why I started this, because I wanted to share my experiences with people, and to hear from them. When I told my kid, I was like, the people who went through the flu of the early 20th century, most of them are not alive anymore, or if they are, we're hearing their stories, but they were very young. And it was so different. But then you think about other people who've had to kind of go into isolation due to circumstances related to war, or, other types of catastrophes or disasters, right? Like people who hid, like Anne Frank, right? Like hiding in an attic or, in a home for years to escape the Nazis.
I mean, there's so many other situations going on in the world before this happened where people's lives have been completely put on hold, for much longer periods of time, whether they're, environmental refugees or refugees from a conflict and what. I think it's like you were saying before. I think that for in the beginning of this, from at least in this country, a lot of people sort of tended to feel like we were somehow invincible to this because it was happening.
I think our president still thinks that. I think our leadership still thinks that people are trying to open up the country again. Actually, first of all, people coming in, this is Duke Riley. We're talking about his art, talking about his practice, talking about his recovery from COVID-19. But one thing that, has really set you on this interesting path is your dedication and your focus on, and I don't think you ever called yourself an environmentalist. I mean, maybe you did, but you just did things related to, especially water, and the world around us, and especially the natural water around urban areas. And now that environmental issues are, it's kind of top of mind for a lot of people, but also with this pandemic, it's really become something that people are talking about now with, our carbon footprint, even like shipping art, from one country to another for an art fair for 4 days. And I was talking about that earlier, but I mean, how do you feel about what the pandemic and what we're going through now will affect the way that we as people, but also as, the art world or the creative world sees our impact on the environment?
I think that with this pandemic, particularly as a New Yorker, I feel like in the past, when there's been bad things that have happened to this city, like, with September 11th or Sandy or something, there was always a way to be involved in, and react to that and help out. And I think that a lot of people are also just kind of like, struggling with how they can be helpful other than just staying at home and, potentially giving plasma if they've recovered from the virus and whatnot. And I think that there's a tremendous opportunity for people to really think about, which is hard to do right now. And, everybody's sort of reacting to the current, news of what's happening on a day-to-day basis. But I think it's important strategically to really think about what how we can use this opportunity to this pause and whatnot, to think about reshaping certain things that, were broken before, both,
What's one example?
Environmentally, societally, and, within the city, the country, the whole planet, and even in the, the art world that we work in, that is supposed to reflect all of that and how that was broken, I mean, I think that, also to be like, I think that it's important to think about all that kind of way that we can try to think about how to do things better in the future, because there's certainly always going to be an element of, unfortunately, of people that are trying to take situations like this for their own. Very smart people. They're going to always think about ways out of greed to to do things to benefit themselves. And like, I think environmentally, it's kind of I think they're at a point where we were spending a lot of time thinking about, like, single use things and what the impact of that was. And unfortunately, I feel like this pandemic is, in particularly, I mean, it's going to reverse a lot of that stuff. You're going to see more and more of that as people feel the need to have gloves and masks and things like that everywhere they go for a long time afterwards.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because my parents are all in healthcare, and my mom is still working. She's a pharmacist. She's a pharmacist in downtown Boston. Duke and I are both from Boston, so I can do that. But anyway, so she's still working, and it's very nerve-wracking. She's 68, and I worry about her. Yesterday, she came down with a headache, and I kind of just went, oh my God, I hope this isn't it. But because, they've always kind of had gloves, the masks, and I used to think it was really wasteful, but now I understand, right? I understand why we have to not reuse certain things, and for the time being. But yeah, it's been a weird mindset because I'm the one who composts in our house, and they, they're just an older generation that doesn't get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what can people look forward to? Thank you, Karen Cart, for saying gratitude to my parents. I mean, gratitude to all the healthcare workers out there, and, obviously whoever helped Duke Riley get better, thank you, because he's here now.
Yeah.
So what can people look forward to in terms of your artwork in the near future?
Well, I'm still working away. I have a couple shows that are still, I think, going to happen. I've been having conversations about that, and I think some of them have changed slightly. Both in scheduling, or sometimes just certain institutions that are telling me that they have to cut staff and things like that, so that some of the shows might be slightly smaller, and that's I think that's fine. That's the nature of the way things are right now, and I think everybody gets that.
So this massive drawing behind you of the Gowanus.
Yeah.
How done are you?
I would say I am. I'm at this point now where I feel like I'm probably like 90% done, but a lot of it happens really quick at the end because I've been working on it for a long period of time, and now at the end I kind of start putting the water in. But it was I can kind of give you guys some. You want to take a peek a little bit?
Let's take a look. Everyone wants to take a look? Thumbs up.
Did I flip this thing? Well, I'll give you first an idea of what you're looking at. It's about 18 feet long, and it's sort of a long map of the Gowanus Canal that basically has. I conducted about 50 different interviews of people that lived on the canal and collected all these different stories, and then photographed the whole canal, and then sort of kind of mapped it out building by building, and kind of basically working on like an app that will go with it, that will tell the different stories of things that I experienced or different people told me about and whatnot, and also just like the history going back to the Revolutionary War, and then it will sort of you'll be able to reference that app and get photographs and things of all these different places that I've kind of put in their actual place. So
absolutely incredible.
It would be on the canal. I mean, if any has any specific, spots they want to know about, I can tell you, where it is and whatnot.
Well, maybe that's what we should do, like the last 5 minutes or so.
Yeah,
If you have a question for Duke about this painting, or sorry, about this drawing, put it in the comments. Or if you have any questions about anything else. What's up?
Yeah. But anyway,
I think questions are going to come in, and people were freaking out in a good way when you were showing us the drawing. So yeah. I can't wait.
What else? Blah 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 blah. I think I'm still working on a mural that will happen in the Governor's Island ferry terminal, and I'm planning that out, I guess, after this drawing, and I think that'll also just be a matter of when I can get access to get in there and start working on that. And obviously, a lot of things with the parks and stuff like that have been postponed. Right. Their opening time is and stuff, and But
when do you go back to your studio in the Navy Yard?
Well, when do I go back?
Yeah. When do you want to?
I'm gonna go back there pretty soon because I'm running out of supplies. I actually just got a bunch of birch bark yesterday because I was gonna do some drawings on that because I ran out of paper.
Yeah.
Birch bark drawings because I'm not really a big Amazon person. I don't. I just go to stores and buy stuff. And I was working on this drawing down in Tampa in January, and then I tried to order something on Amazon. I ordered some pens, and then a toilet seat showed up. So I don't get it. That's not for me. But
wait, what?
Yeah,
that's
amazing.
Nice.
It was a wooden one, but I wasn't gonna fly back to New York with it.
So what did you do with the toilet seat?
I left it there. I mean, it was, I was staying at a friend's place down there, and I mean, it was like, it was definitely like a nice toilet. I don't know. I mean, it was actually, I think I might get into. I'd like to maybe curate something now with a bunch of different artists designing really fancy, one-off toilet seats. Maybe might be. I think I got some ideas from it. But yeah, I ultimately, I ordered pens. That's what I ordered.
That's so, hysterical.
I think I'm done with it. I tried it once, it didn't work. I don't know.
Yeah. We got to get you a partnership with I don't know, Artists and Craftsmen or one of those art supply stores. Just come on, art supply store. Just send Duke some stuff. We want him to make more.
Yeah.
So, okay, some people did post questions. Let me go back and see. Have you considered using AR experiences as an app accompaniment to a piece?
That's what I'm planning on doing with this piece. The idea, I think, is, with a lot of these drawings that I do is, they're way too detailed to really show on social media. Like, I don't post that many pictures of my drawings on Instagram and stuff like that because there's really a way to give it context. It's like from far away, it just looks like a blur, and up close, so it's nice to make something that I think can only still be experienced in person. But there's so many different stories of everything that I drew in these drawings that all have very specific meaning. And I think, in this one in particular, I really want to have this thing where people can point a phone at it and it will tell you, I'm trying to give you an example of something that I can pick out right off the bat because everything's, Yeah,
well, actually, someone asked, tell us a story from the piece.
Okay, I'll try to pick one.
Pick a short one.
What's that?
Pick a short one.
All right.
Like a short story.
Oh, geez, it's so hard. There's this ladder that kind of runs down the side of the drawing with these guys climbing down on it, and then it goes into this little tunnel, and that goes into this building, and this is the old, this is the flushing tunnel that is supposed to clean out the canal that they repaired, and there was, which ran underneath DeGraw Street all the way down to the East River.
Okay.
And one night I was sitting in a bar down in around the corner from my house, and my friend Anthony Capone and I realized that there was a manhole across the street with this really long ladder that went all the way down into the Flushing Canal. So we like climbed down the ladder and then went into the tunnel and walked it.
Wow.
That thing up to the Flushing Tunnel. But one thing I found out when I was doing some research was, everybody always talks about Sludgy the whale. That's the whale that swam up the Guantanamo Canal. But in the 50s, there was this other whale that swam all the way up the canal, and that whale actually ended up getting stuck in the pump at the Flushing thing. So it's potential that
oh my God,
that Flushing Tunnel broke was when this other whale, way earlier, got stuck in there. So there's sort of all these different things like that, and there's all these.
Wow, that's incredible.
But
oof. Wow. Well, I mean, Duke, I think people could spend a lot more time with you and looking at your work, but we are due. It's been 30 minutes.
Yeah,
I'm very strict about that.
I gotta go out and I'm gonna go try to fish. I think some.
Oh, cool.
I don't really know much about freshwater fishing, but I'm gonna go meet up with my friend Preston and give it a try.
Awesome.
6
And so, like, your health is good. You feel good. You feel better.
I feel great. Yeah, I feel definitely on the mend, and I hope everybody else out there's staying healthy and good too.
Yeah, same. Everyone stay healthy. Everyone stay safe. Thank you so much, Duke. This was amazing, and I miss you, and I can't wait to see you soon.
Likewise.
Yeah. All right. And this will be up for 24 hours on my stories. I'm going to post it somewhere on my website. Just stay tuned. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right.
Bye.